Before we start FitzDog Radio, I want to give you guys a little push towards my other podcast, Childish, where Allison Rosen. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Greg.
We talk about how Corona is affecting your family right now. We are all in how's your house feeling right now?
Smaller than previously.
My house is shrinking like a wool sweater on high in the dryer right now.
Yeah.
So tune into Childish on all the platforms and check it out.
You'll love it. And if you don't, you'll get your money back.
It's free. Unbelievable. Welcome to FitzDog Radio. I hope you enjoyed the promo for Childish. Don't forget to check out Childish. Also Sunday Papers. A lot going on. I'm staying busy during this turmoil, this pandemic. Isn't that weird to say we're in a pandemic? I mean, in 1918, people were freaking the fuck out with the Spanish flu, but there was no internet. There was probably no newspapers. They probably couldn't even make newspaper. People were lost. They were in their little shitty village with no contact to the outside world, wondering why they were dying, how long they would be dying. I'm sure there was all kinds of conspiracy theories flying around. There was a lot of magicians and prophets, and I mean, at least now there's missteps being made, but at least we know about them. At least we're up to speed somewhat, and we're warning people of how to minimize this thing. But Jesus, we're in a pandemic. It's fucking crazy. I got to pinch myself sometimes. I think that people will look back in 100 years or 200 years, and they'll talk about this period of time, 2020. Hopefully not much beyond 2020, but this particular year will have changed economies, taken many lives, caused homelessness, but good for the environment, apparently. So anyway, I'm in a good mood despite all that. It was my birthday yesterday. Thank you. Thank you for tweeting. A lot of you tweeted, which was very sweet. I tried to like you. Tried to heart you if you did that for me. And I had a nice day with my family. I mean, a birthday for me is always a day with the family anyway. We all get breakfast in bed on our birthdays. I got that, some pancakes, and then went off, played some poker with my family. We had like a 3-hour poker game, jumped in the hot tub, took a bike ride. My wife made my favorite dinner, chicken, the hell she call it? Paprika, whatever it's called. It's Greek, I think. It's fucking delicious. And then my daughter made me a red velvet cake with cream cheese on top. Slammed that down, and then we watched Day at the Races because I love the Marx Brothers, and they do too. My kids were raised on the Marx Brothers, so I don't know that I had ever seen Day at the Races, and some people say it's their best movie. So I was very excited, and we put it on. And Harpo, Chico, and Groucho put on blackface at one point and start dancing with a bunch of black people. It was like, fucking what? What just happened? Because you got to understand, like, they came from vaudeville, and that was acceptable. That was standard fare. If you did vaudeville and you were white, you did blackface, you went in drag. It was just like fucking number 3. It's the number 3. It's what you do. But shocking. Movie was made in 1937. Still holds up. Except for that little blackface incident. And I think they were actually known as being very progressive about race for that time. I think having been Jews that were going through the buildup of what was happening in Germany with Hitler, and I think they were very progressive. But, I was on a Zoom call with my sister, her son and daughter, and they're in different cities, all zoomed in together. And I'm sitting on my couch with my wife and my 2 kids, and we're watching the Zoom screen. And a text pops up from my old friend Bill Burr, and all it says is, "Have you learned how to suck your own cock yet?" Right across the screen. Thank God they know I'm a comedian. They laughed their asses off, and I couldn't stop laughing. You can't fucking script that. I don't think it didn't go through to the other side. My sister and her kids didn't see that. But if people are getting bombed, there's hacking going on Zoom. Be careful. They've got new things in place now where you have to use an extra password to get on, because it's becoming a huge. Apparently, it's pretty easy to hack it. Put that guy in, the black guy with the big dick. Stick that in anywhere. What else? We're going crazy in the house. As you know, I shaved my head last week. My daughter shaved my head for me, and then she decided to dye her hair blood red. So she did that. I would imagine there's going to be some piercings going on. We're all going to be fat. We're all going to gain weight. Nobody's going to recognize us when we come out of quarantine, which is kind of cool. You gotta emerge from this hibernation changed. You have to be a changed person. Oh my God, my mother-in-law had the worst fucking thing happen. She was, well, not the worst, but she lives in New York City, and she was walking down Amsterdam Avenue, Upper West Side, and a guy's walking towards her, so she veers off into the road to get out of the way, and then he veers off into the road. So she walks back to the sidewalk, he walks back to the sidewalk, and then he follows her around the corner and then walks up in front of her and coughs in her face on purpose. She's a 79-year-old woman, and just fucking crazy. Like, I don't know if this was a homeless person or some kind of lunatic. So she's freaking out. She doesn't know if she's got it now, and who knows. My cousin got it. My brother thinks he might have gotten it. My sister thinks she might have gotten it. I think it's a matter of time till my mother gets it. She's down in Florida just like going out with people, having people over for dinner. So take it easy, Mom. I don't know which of this material I've said, because I'm doing 3 different podcasts of my own, plus I'm doing other people's podcasts. And only there's X amount of things that are happening to me because of this limited life that we're all living. And I apologize if you're hearing me say, I might have even said some of this shit on the last podcast. I don't know. I'm like an old man. Try not to repeat, but shit, I don't know, how much do I have to talk about? These people in my neighborhood doing that 6 at 6 thing. You go out to your driveway at 6 o'clock. And you stand 6 feet away from each other, and you have a cocktail, which is fun. There's a lot of it going on in Venice. It's pretty cool. I take bike rides every night. Me and my kids went with my daughter 2 nights ago, and then 3 nights ago I went out with my son to go for sunset. We take these monster, like, hour-and-a-half bike rides all around the beach. That's been nice. All right, let's get to it. Before we get to it, let's talk about our good friends at Omax Cryofreeze. Now more than ever, it's critical to take care of yourself, everybody. Avoid trips to the doctor, chiropractor, masseuse. Social distancing is having an effect on everything these days, and nothing's more important right now than keeping your body healthy and pain-free. So if you're sitting at home suffering from aches and pains, from arthritis, backaches, muscle soreness, joint pain, and you want to try a drug-free solution, then you owe it to yourself to try the product that you're probably hearing about across so many podcasts. Cryofreeze CBD Pain Relief is an all-natural topical pain reliever that instantly ices out the pain with a 1-2 punch of super cold menthol and hemp CBD. Simply roll on Cryofreeze onto your back, neck, hands, and any other painful areas to help block the pain, reduce inflammation, and improve muscle and joint flexibility. Cryofreeze contains 10 powerful ingredients that combine to provide a powerhouse dose of relief which can last up to 8 hours, much longer than any other roll-on. Try Cryofreeze today and learn why so many people have rated it 5 stars and have written so many letters thanking Omax for the life-changing relief they are getting from this product. I have been sent a few boxes of Cryofreeze. I love this shit. I got a bad shoulder. My left shoulder aches every time I work out. I roll this on before I do it, and then I do it that night, and it feels great. The pain goes away. I've got a foot pain. It's a mystery foot pain. I rub it on there. It goes away. And it's not greasy, oily, weird. It's easy to put on with this roll-on. I highly recommend it. I gave it to my mother-in-law. She's got a hip problem. It's helped with her hip. It was inspired by cryotherapy, which means cold therapy. It exposes the body to cold temperatures in order to numb and reduce pain or inflammation. Professional NFL and NBA athletes such as Steph Curry, LeBron James use this therapy on a regular basis. You have pain that won't go away, then you qualify for Omax Cryofreeze. Simply roll it over where it hurts and ice out the pain. No messy creams or horrible fragrances like some of those other products. Cryofreeze works within 5 minutes of application, improving physical training, recovery, and performance. So go to omaxhealth.com and enter code DOG and get 20% off Cryofreeze and site-wide. That's omaxhealth.com and enter code DOG to get 20% off and site-wide. Thank you, Cryofreeze. You guys are going to thank me. So here's the podcast. It's my buddy, Dave Attell. This is the guy who was just, in my mind, the best stand-up comedian in the country. Has been for many years. He's just the real deal. He's a club comic through and through. Always writing, always on the edge of things, never boring. Crowd work that's better than he does this bumping mics thing with Dave Attell. And they were about to do a huge tour, but it got canceled, obviously, because of this. But I was on my way home. I was actually in L.A. I live in Venice, so it's like a good 30-minute drive for me to get to the studio in Hollywood. I had just gone in and interviewed Fortune Feimster, and I almost canceled because I felt really sick. I didn't want to get her sick. I felt out of it, stuffy head, feverish. She said, no, let's do it. So I did it. I finished, and I'm driving home just feeling like all I want to do is get into bed. And then I get a call from Attell who goes, hey, man, I'm in Hollywood. Let's do a podcast. I said, I don't know, man. I'm sick as a dog. He's like, no, come on. Let's do it. I was halfway home, turned around, got some coffee, drove back, and did this podcast, which I was really glad we did. It came out really good. So here he is, nicest guy in the world. Love this man. Here he is, Dave Attell. My next guest is a dear friend and a comic who is respected in most of the countries he performs in.
3 out of 5 time zones.
3 out of 5 time zones?
Mm-hmm.
You're respected?
That's my new credit.
I was like
I'm
the
coming
guy...
for you, Mountain Time.
That was always the big credit when I was coming up in Boston, was the guys would be like, this guy's performed in 46 states.
Wow.
It didn't say how he did.
Doesn't
or if
matter.
He drew.
Just he's got a great car. This guy can really drive.
This guy knows people that will pick him up at the airport in 46 states.
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest, but first
Please,
of all,
Dave, that's what this is about.
Let's set some ground rules, as they say in today's times. Do you want eye contact or no eye contact?
I would like 3 seconds followed by 5 seconds of
looking away?
Of a gaze away.
Oh, kind of a mumblecore, just look at my shoes?
Yes.
I can do that. Thanks for the gourmet coffee.
Yeah, that was $6 at a place. What's it called on Melrose?
I don't know. $6. Let's see. What would that be? I don't know, a Trader Joe's maybe or something?
No. It's no, I drink Americanos, which is when they take 2 shots of espresso and they put hot water into it.
Wow.
And they never make it right, but this place fucking nailed it, and I'm really happy.
Whoa, what's with the F-bombs? That's the second rule. Are we going to... They're trying to...
What's the worst podcast you ever did in your life? Because you get asked to do them all the time.
I do get asked to do a bunch of podcasts. I don't have my own podcast. I'm kind of a refugee. I go from podcast to podcast, and I don't know what the worst one was, but there definitely have been ones where like the setup was not good, where it was like, I don't know what to tell you, but we have no microphones,
It's 4 guys huddled around an
it's
iPhone.
just like, it just happened this morning. Someone broke into our house and just took the microphones.
I think it's my mother. She's tired of us doing it here.
But you know what's good is that in the first wave of podcasting, since I can say that I've been from the beginning of the podcast phenomenon, that like the podcasting in someone's house, it seems to be dissipating. That was always also a little awkward.
Yeah.
Where you like never have been to the guy's house except the podcast, and
Yeah.
you just kind of want to look around, and you can't do that.
Yeah, you're looking or you can't even pay attention to the podcast because you're going, I didn't know Jay Larson rollerbladed.
It's like, I didn't know you had a kid. Wow.
I didn't know you never did dishes.
I didn't know that this is the scene of a domestic dispute.
I didn't know you collected Mad Magazine from 1975.
Look at all this memorabilia no one cares about.
I used to do it in my, I had a garage when I lived in Venice that I used to do it out of.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of made for podcasting. It was a 2-car garage that we put down hardwood floors and put in windows and
The sound.
a couple couches. We soundproofed it, and it was nice.
Well, for Bert Kreischer, now that I'm thinking of it, Bert, very funny, really great guy. We podcasted in his backyard. It was like in this backyard, and there were
Outside?
and there were like chickens there, and it was kind of like I think it was actually more of like the world's smallest state fair. There were chickens there, and then we were like walking through his house. It was very it was different, but you gotta love Bert.
Yeah, the machine.
The machine. He knows what he's doing. He's out there 200 plus days a year. That's what it is now. Tour till you drop.
It's tours you drop, and when you're not on the road, you have to be on your podcast or somebody else's podcast or somehow like getting online and putting it all out. What happened to the days of date raping and then hiding the next day till your next gig?
Wow. Talk about a left turn.
Jesus.
No, I was going to say, don't you have to upkeep your Instagram and or TikTok?
Have you tried TikTok yet? Have you looked at it?
No. Isn't that where the coronavirus came from?
I
I'm sorry. I'm one fake news story behind. No, but let me ask you this. So you have to book the podcast,
Yeah.
then you have to get the podcast out,
Yeah.
and then you have to promote the podcast.
That's right.
So that, in any other world, that would be a job.
Yeah.
But now you also have to be a comic, and you're a very funny comic, so then you have to throw the comedy thing on it.
Right.
So where's your nervous breakdown?
Oh,
Are you
had
close?
it. I had it when I was writing a book, which you're also supposed to do.
Oh, see, that was another thing I dodged. They always
Yeah.
want me to write a book. I
Oh,
said no.
really?
Yeah. But I think that's
Well,
something.
you just got to get someone to ghostwrite it for you. I mean, that's the thing is most people don't write their
No.
own books.
Well, there's
You
a
get
couple.
David Weil to do it for you.
I don't know. I was thinking of that. What's her name? Greta Thunberg. Make it more about the environment. I don't know what to say. I mean, I feel like that's something you could do at any time. Why do it
Yeah,
now?
right.
Oh, because of the heat. You want to get the heat
You want to
going.
capture the heat.
I don't know, man. I guess I just don't want it bad enough.
Where would your book start if you were going to write a book? What's the first
Well,
chapter?
I like the funny books. Why does it have to be about like your life? Because I don't feel like I've had an amazing life. I think a lot of people kind of I don't know what I guess you could say poetic license or whatever it's called, where you like aggrandize. Is that a word? Aggrandize your life, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's a boring life.
Yes.
But in today's times of like everyone is important and special,
Well,
So-
my
so I don't
favorite
like that.
was Keith Richards wrote a book called, I think it was called Life. And in it, he's recalling like what color upholstery the inside of the car was when he was doing heroin in the 1960s driving through London. It's like, wait a minute. You didn't know what fucking country you were in.
Yeah, but that would be funny to really think that like he was doing heroin, but he also had a notebook with him the whole time. It's like, hold on, guys, hold on. I know it's my shot, but hold on.
Right.
Okay, now what would you say the smell in the room is? Sudden death?
Hold on, sweetheart, before you blow me again.
Yeah, exactly. What color are your eyes there? What, hazy? But his book is important because he's a legend. And
Yeah.
he just, I think, quit smoking, correct?
He did.
I think he did. He goes, that's it. I'm done. And they're going out on tour again, which I can only imagine what the Stones tour is now, right? What do you think? Like, how do they decide on it? Like,
Yeah.
how do they do it? I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
I just bought tickets for the opening night.
Can I ask how much?
$350 a ticket. I got 4 tickets.
Whoa, you could have seen me like 300 times for that. That's a lot of money. $350? Do you think that's a good deal?
I feel like I want to take my kids, and it's like I want them to like get old and be able to say I saw the Rolling Stones, the greatest live band in history.
I guess that's cool.
Have you seen them?
Wouldn't it be just better to take them to like a Trump rally? Is that cheaper seat? What's the cheaper seat? I don't know. I've never seen them live. I've heard people that have seen them, and they've said amazing things, and also just like, I didn't pay for the ticket, so it was the experience. But I feel like a lot of people are getting into it. I think that's cool that you're showing your kids that this is what, like, I guess you could say like a monster rock band was like.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, the K-pop thing really does it that well, Have you seen these kids?
Yeah.
BTS and,
yeah.
Oh, what's the other one called? The, whatever. They all have it's like a group of 7 to 12. Basically, so I don't even know like how does that band come together? I believe they just basically have an algorithm like Netflix. It's like we need 2 more guys with pink hair,
right. Yeah, I don't think having sex with one of those guys makes you gay.
I don't think they're sex at all. I think that they're androgynous. That's why the secret over there. They're
right.
they're basically like wood fairies, like they're like magical creatures. I'm holding up my end of this. I know that.
Well, going to the Stones, it's not so much like I went to I took my daughter to see the Beach Boys.
What is wrong with you?
Well, she surfs, so she likes surf music.
Yeah, but that's considered for them. That's like music. That's like elevate. That's like make her want to shop or something.
No, the Beach Boys are the fucking greatest. One of the greatest rock bands ever. Oh my God, yeah.
How was it? Was Brian? What's his name there?
Brian Wilson was there.
He was there.
Yeah. And he's like he's knocking on death's door. But it's not so much watching him, it's watching the crowd that shows up. All these guys that are wearing like cargo shorts and flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts.
Have you ever thought of taking a weekend off from being like a comic and a father and all that stuff? Have you? You have, right? This guy took off decades. He said to his kids and his career, like, hello, 70s, 80s, and part of the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
I'm gonna lay in my pool. That guy's really good to himself.
I know. He enjoyed him. Most nervous breakdowns, you try to wrap it up after a few months. He went, no, I'm going to go 2 decades with this one.
I think that was so great because like his kids, who have all turned out pretty well, he's like, he's the most absentee dad you could see every day. That he was just like laying there in the pool like, oh, what are you doing? All right, you're learning how to ride a bike? Okay, when you can drive a car, I'll come out and maybe say hello. But I got this pool. I got to stay in this pool. This is my home base, the pool.
I have to write a song in 9 years.
And that's another thing, the turnaround. Very, very, when you listen to those old tunes, you think about white privilege, and it's like, there it is, right there. Like, a car, a babe, and the beach, surfing.
Yeah.
There was no other real issue there. That was
right.
just pretty much the 3 things that, a white kid wants. Just
right.
a car,
No, that's
and a
why
beach,
everybody loved it.
A wave,
It was total escapism. It
You
was
think
like,
so?
yeah, it was the easiest, and that's why everybody moved to L.A. My father was a draft dodger, and he came to Venice Beach,
right,
when he was supposed to be going to basic training.
All right. Well, then I'm about to leave this podcast. How about that?
I know.
Dodge this podcast.
For a guy that never served in the armed forces,
you
really are loyal to them.
No, but so he was going to be drafted, and he said no, and he just
No, I think there was like a paperwork screw up where like he was supposed to be told to report to Fort Benjamin on Monday or something.
But he was drafted.
And then he was drafted, and then they never like sent the final paperwork, so he just kind of went like, well, I'm not going to show up if they didn't like send it.
Okay.
And then I think he just kind of made his way quietly out to California.
Yeah.
And then they just forgot about him.
Well, he's in very good company. Just look at everyone in our government.
Yeah, right.
I mean, honestly, it's just like a who's who of who got out of Vietnam. So.
It was hard for him to surf with that bone spur.
No, it's funny how they have like this thing that like when the draft was happening. Not to make this like totally boring, but the draft they go put in your birthday and your year, and they could tell you how close you were to getting drafted. And it was really like from like I guess you could say from like 66 to like 73 was like the time of the draft. So they had like different things that were going there. First, it was like you were able to get out of college deferment,
Right.
you know, and then after that, they kind of like did the lottery system. So I always thought it would be an interesting show, like to go like, you know, because guys would be fixed like they are now, like I guess listening to whatever, that they'd be like, am I going to get drafted? Am I not? You know, and they were up to like about the age of 25. They pretty much couldn't really kind of do anything in their lives because they thought they were always going to be drafted.
Right.
So
Right.
it's kind of interesting that without that now, I guess all we have is basically YouTube. Everyone wondering when their video is going to be pulled down.
Right. Well, now it's like you wonder if there's going to be a draft ever again because we're not going to need. Like, I can't imagine a war where, like, did you see 1917? Did you see that movie 1917?
No, I didn't see that movie, but I know about World War I. So go ahead.
Like, are we ever going to
trenches.
be? Are we ever going to be in trenches again, where the enemy's like 20 feet away?
Right.
You know, like I can't imagine a scenario where you need more than like 20 nerdy kids sitting in a
With
bunker in
drones?
Arizona shooting drones at people.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I would say that like they should definitely have like volunteering things that you could do like with all these fires and all that kind of stuff. And that's a great way to get rid of like student loans and get you like parking and all that kind of. It would be kind of cool if that's the way that you get rid of a student loan, which is like, you know, otherwise these guys, most of them, they join the military to go to college. So I don't know
that's
what Bernie's
a great
thinking.
idea.
Oh, well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that like, you know, free college for everyone. It's like, goodbye, Army.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to join? But, you know, what I don't have kids in the game. You have kids in the game. But I would say that, like, you know, we live in a very selfish time. So maybe some of that would help bring people together. But who am I to say to someone else since I didn't serve, you know?
Yeah, why didn't you serve? Because you're a guy who's fascinated with soldiers. Nobody supports
You know what?
the troops more than
I
you.
wanted to go into the Navy when I was like 18, and then my dad was in the Navy, and then I got involved in the comedy thing, and I kept pushing it back, and then I missed the first Gulf War, you know, and I was like 25 then, and I was like, I better join or something like that, but I was still in the comedy world, so the comedy world kind of like kept me out of it.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, like, you know, I'm a chain-smoking alcoholic. How can I, you know, maybe I could join the other side, like the Ukrainian army or something. But I really do feel that, like, I should have.
Yeah.
That's why I did all those USO tours, because I really do feel like, you know, I never did my time. And, you know, these guys are doing their time and they're away from their families and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's what I, you know, that's how I put it together, I guess. But, yeah, I always feel like that's something that I probably should have done, you know. That, get married, have children. Like, there's a lot of real life things that I probably should have done.
You don't think about that you should
Yeah, I
have
do.
kids, do you?
Yeah, why not? And in LA, the beauty is like you're always in the game till you're about like 85. Like Hugh Hefner, right? He had kids up until, right?
Sure.
He was basically pumping them out right as they were putting dirt on them.
That's right. Yeah, I think that in the old days you had kids and you had a lot of them because first of all half of them died.
Well, that's the real old days.
And then that was people talk about what your retirement plan was. And back then it was like, it's Shunji and Gun-ha.
That's so true because, you know, I'm the primary caregiver to my mother who has some dementia issues, and me and my sister. And, like, I realized that, like, you know, we don't have children, so it's going to be up to strangers or AI, robots.
Right.
Excuse me, there's the call right now.
Here, take the call. Let's see who it is.
Oh, no, it's okay. Sorry, I didn't get the part.
Who's that?
Let's keep going. No, so can you imagine that? A helpful drone or maybe a sex bot that can also shower you?
That would be great. She showers your mother, puts her to bed, and then gives you the best blowjob you've ever had in your life.
Here's a good question for you. What's the weirdest thing you've ever had to order off of Amazon? I'll start. A shower chair for your mother. A shower chair.
Did you look at what other people recommended first?
No, the nursing aide said, this is the best one you have. I go, I'm not going to debate that. Whatever one you say, there's nothing more depressing than ordering a shower chair.
Yeah.
There's no fun to it. There's no whatever. It like has all those things like can hold up to like 300-400 pounds.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine the people that are using the shower chair.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you. Shower standing up. When you can't, it's over.
And don't buy a house that's got only a bathtub, because my friends did that for their father and then realized that he can't get into the bathtub.
So how do they do it? They hose him out back?
They hose him out back.
How are you doing otherwise? I mean, you're on the road probably as much as me. Maybe, are you or no?
About
3 weeks a month, maybe?
About 2 to 3 weeks a month.
How's it going out there?
It's good. I mean, I'd say crowds are better than they've ever been. I find that, like, for the most part, people talk about, oh, you're not allowed to do this. You're not. Bullshit. You can do whatever the fuck you want. People don't care.
Well, my crowd, which is an exceptional crowd, I don't know other people's crowds. I just know my crowd, and I'll just speak for me and the openers that we love our crowd, that they laugh, they drink, they tip, they do all the things you're supposed to do. They don't take offense.
They buy merch.
They buy merch. I'm in the merch game. I'm in it heavy duty. I work with like Louis Katz, very funny comic,
He's great.
and Ian Fidance, and we go out there and we bang out the merch, posters, T-shirts. What are you doing?
I do pins.
What?
I think I'm trying to get you into the pin business
The
right
pin
now.
business. Maybe that could help me live out that military dream where someone can pin me.
Eventually, audience members will look like Saddam Hussein and just have like every comedian's button on when they
Gaddafi.
come to the show. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So
But
you
the
go out-
pins you should do, except the problem is I sold them out so fast. You can't bring enough to a show. That's how many people buy.
I can't believe this pin thing.
But then I
Really?
sold them all out, and they come from China.
Oh,
and my
no.
guy is like, we can't get anything out of China right now.
There you go. I can help you out with that. My brother has a metal shop. We can bang them out real easy. Come off hot.
You sound like Jeff Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
We could also
My
do it
dad's
like
a television repairman. We can fix it.
we could do it with an edge on it too, so it can also be like a melee weapon. There's your 1917.
No, what do you sell? DVDs and what else?
No, I don't sell any DVDs. Who sells DVD now? I sell
Well, you have to sell the
posters.
player as well. That's the key.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
When you sell the actual system.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do download cards for my Dave's Old Porn Show, which you were on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna do that because I feel like that show needs to be seen. That was a heartache because I tried to sell it overseas, but everybody pulled back on it, and now like I'm trying to sell it, at least stream it or something like that. There's so many cool people that were on it and everything, and at the end of the day, like it's a product and I own it, and I'm kind of proud of it. And like,
It was a great show.
I really think that was probably one of my best things, and
not only was it like a great idea, but I liked the execution. I liked the graphics, the way
thanks,
the way
yeah.
it looked. Everything about it was like it was fun. It had like an element of like Pee Wee's Playhouse to it almost.
Yeah, we really got to like for the budget that we had, and even though I had to kick in a lot of my own cash, like I feel like we got a lot of bang for our buck. I really do think that we did, and that for me, that was the first show I ever did inside. Outside was mostly the Insomniac show.
Right.
So like having all that control and like going like, okay, everyone, let's take a break, and it was like so refreshing, for me. But at this point, I'm not really into any of that stuff. Like I just want to like keep banging out the material. Coming up with new jokes, like it just, I don't know how you feel about this because you're really a strong joke writer. You're really good. And like,
Oh, thank you.
strong joke writing now is becoming like almost like blacksmithing. It's like, my dad did it and
Yeah,
my son,
yeah.
we come from 3 generations of joke writing, but it's not really something that people pull to anymore. But I would say that like every joke I come up with, I lose 2 jokes. It's like one of those where it's like, one joke knocks the other joke off the table, and I can't seem to get past the 45-minute, mark in terms of a new hour. So it's kind of defeating, and it's really
Wait, what do you
frustrating.
mean by one joke knocks 2 off?
Yeah, like, okay, this joke, like I got this joke about a mattress, so that, the other one isn't as good. So I
Oh,
lose
I
that,
see.
to it,
Right.
And then when I work with Jeff, we do the bumping mics, and a shout out to, David Spade. We were just on his show, Lights Out, which we all know is the gateway show to At Midnight. I'm kidding. No, that was a lot of fun. It was me and Jeff on there, so it was just the 3 of us going at it.
Oh, that was it? The whole episode?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, that's great.
It was like just 3, what can I say? Guys just hitting it hard.
Yeah.
And Jeff is great with the crowd, and David is so fast and funny. So that was a lot of fun to do. The shows that are fun to do, you're almost like, I can't believe this is a job. The other
Yeah.
one's not so much.
Yeah, right. No, the
And you and I were on that show together.
we did it with what's her name
From
from Wedding Crashers.
Fisher, right?
Car-
Not Carrie Fisher.
Isla
Yes.
Fisher. She was funny
She was great
and
really cool.
and she wanted to hang out after the show, which was very cool.
Not really. She was waiting for a ride. I mean,
Oh,
I
is
could
that
see
what
how
it
you would
was?
say that. I could see how you could see that. It's like we hung out. She was like basically eyeballing her Uber.
We hung out at her house. Well, she was inside.
You're like, yeah, we hung out. It was the thing. It's like she's desperately trying to get back in the Uber.
we
No,
went to
she was
dinner.
cool, and let's face it, her husband is like, groundbreaking.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah, has he ever been on the podcast?
No, as a matter of fact, I have this list. I have this wish list of 10
let's go
people, and
through
he's
it.
on it.
Awesome.
Well, Mel Brooks.
Yes. And Carl Reiner, right?
I already had Carl Reiner on.
Because you could just go, they both live in the same house.
I know. But Steve Martin.
Yes.
Bill Murray.
Well, hold on a second. Let's go through each one
Okay.
slowly. I mean, Steve Martin, do you think he even does podcasts?
No, but that's the key is I want people that don't do podcasts all the time.
Oh, I see.
So they're
These are
kind
the
of fresh.
gets.
Right.
Well, if I was say, like, let's say this podcast was super, super successful. Right now it's successful. But let's say it was like, and I was the sidekick on the podcast, which is someone no one talks about, the sidekicks of podcasts.
Right.
There should be a calendar for that.
That's right.
Anyway, I would go, Steve, you'll never believe this, but I was just in Oklahoma and I went to the Banjo Museum because I did. And that was the first place I've ever been to where I got a senior's discount.
You bought a banjo?
No, I didn't buy a banjo. It's the Banjo Museum in Oklahoma City.
Oh, just to get in.
Well, yeah. They
Yeah.
go, how old are you? I go, I just turned 55. They go, well, you get a discount. I go, you know what? I'm the only person here at the Banjo Museum. I should get him for free. They go, please, Gramps, calm down.
55, you get a senior discount. Wow.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Isn't it amazing? I spent time on the phone with the Writers Guild the other day, asked them about my pension. My pension.
You really do all that work. You make the calls.
Yeah, you got to make the calls.
So what is going on? I'm sure you've done podcast after podcast with this. Is this a good time? Because my niece is very funny and she wants to be a writer and like she's always asking about internships and stuff like that and getting into the writing world.
I'll hire as an intern.
Really?
Yeah.
But I was going to say that. Is this a good time to be a writer or is it not?
Well, it's tricky. First of all, there might be a writer's strike coming up in a couple months.
And what will that look like this time?
It'll shut the business down.
It will.
No movies will get made. No. Right now, what they try to do when they know a strike is coming is they try to tell all the writers, hey, we'll give you extra money if you hurry up and finish that project. But if you're a writer and you do that, you're basically cutting off your nose to spite your face because you're going to be that's that much longer they can stand up against the strike because they've got scripts they can shoot.
So you can smell a strike coming.
Oh, it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. As the Hollywood elite will want to know, what kind of food can we come down for the photo op? What should we bring to you guys? Remember, it was like donuts and pizza.
Yeah, right.
Hey, I'm on your side.
No, now it's all keto.
Yeah.
Bring down sausage links and beef jerky.
That was the photo op. Yeah, no, we're going to, okay, let's get back in the car.
Right. Yeah, no, I think she should get into writing because, you know, there's so many different outlets because it's not just about the TV channels. It's about YouTube is doing original programming, Netflix, you know, all the streaming services. And if you're a young woman, I think it's not like the old days where it was harder. It's actually easier now. I mean,
They
I
want
know.
a more diverse writing team.
Oh my
That's
God!
Good. That's
and
good.
Is she black at all?
No, not much. No. But you know what I would say is that, you know, being a writer, with these other platforms as we talk about, and it also is with comedy now, is that the actual system no longer works that way, where it's like you kind of have the idea, and if you're a really good promoter of yourself, then you really kind of go from, like, as we would say in the business, like opener to headliner within minutes.
Yep.
That you can, with the following now, tour, or you can write, or you can do whatever you want. It's really about, do you have the following to support what you're doing?
Do you think too many people that aren't real comedians are getting into the stand-up world and sort of like doing it for the cash?
I think, well, since I'm doing it for the cash. No, I'm kidding. I mean, this is what I do and this is what I have done. But I would say that the new comics, the ones that are getting into it for other reasons, that there's never been a better time to be a comic for other reasons, because you can go on stage and then just basically do a couple of mashups or whatever it is and try and build the following that way. The you know what I'm saying, the bitter road of like actually being a comic, you know, the night after night and the open mics and all that kind of stuff. I don't even know if that template works anymore. You know, I see these kids going to open mics all the time, and like at the end of the day, it's like maybe you would serve yourself better if you don't want to be a real comic to just like making videos.
Yeah.
And like that's the way to get attention for both writing jobs and like acting jobs.
Yeah.
Instead of like going there hoping that like you'll get 12 minutes together and get on a TV show like
Right.
that. That's kind of an old way of doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. No,
What do you think?
Well, there was this guy opened for me recently. I was in Houston, and the guy opened for me, and he was all he cared about was selling merch, and so he's got He had a bottle opener, T-shirt, a
I'm
CD,
listening. Yeah.
and he spent like 5 minutes on each item during his set.
I love it.
So by the end of the set, I go, you gonna do some stand up while you're selling the merch up front? Because I didn't
And
see
he's
any
the
up
opener?
there. Yeah, he's the opener. He's got a giant Samsonite with wheels on it, and he would roll it in and out of the green room every
Nice.
night.
And who was selling it with him? Just himself?
Yeah, just himself. Yeah.
Do you have a card swiper? Because that really changes the game.
Now, I'll tell you why. Because in the time it takes me to get somebody's card, swipe it, it never works for like 5 times.
Yes.
Now 19 people have walked by my table.
Oh, I see.
Cash. You give me cash.
You just cash only.
Cash only.
I like it.
I don't fuck around with
What
that
about
swiper
Bitcoin?
shit.
Any of that?
Bitcoin, absolutely.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow. I like your style, but I would just say that, like, you got to get that swiper going because, few people have cash. Few people do.
Nobody carries cash. The millennials don't carry cash
they don't
anymore.
carry cash. They want to trade for it.
Yeah. I'll design your new website.
Yeah, like
for a
I have
DVD.
an animation of you that I think you might like.
Right. That is cool when people do animations of you, though.
There's so many talented
so
people out
amazing.
there. It's really kind of shocking to see how talented people are. It's like, Walt Disney. You do, right? He was like an animator. And it's like now when you think about it, you're like, honestly, like there's like a billion animators now. I thought there was like maybe 7. Now it's like there's a billion of them. It's just crazy how that is. It's like caricatures. You remember that? That was like something that people would do in front of like a bus station, like in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like you walk through the caricature area.
Yeah.
So now it's like everybody can do that. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like how talented everyone.
Well, because
is.
there's apps where you can make a caricature
there
of
you
somebody. You snap the photo, you hit the button, and it makes a caricature out of it.
Well, that stinks because what if you like that was your thing? I'm a caricature
I know.
guy. Now
But
what do you
that's
do?
just the thing. Everybody's job can be done like photographers. You used to
Yes.
have to go to,
I was a
learn
wedding
about
photographer.
lenses.
I know this.
No, you weren't.
I was the assistant to the wedding photographer, and what was I going to say? I can actually show you a picture of myself when I was the assistant.
Let me see.
Okay, it's
As
on my
he
flip phone,
just
so it
pulled
might
out a
take a
flip
few
phone.
hours. Do you have tape?
Yeah,
Okay, we're not posting it or anything, but I'll show it to you.
you can hear Dave punching through each number. You have to hit like 3 times.
Look
if
at
you want.
that. Who is that young boy?
Wow.
I must
That's
have
a
been like
man.
21,
You're
22.
looking in the distance like,
I was looking
know
at a
there's
poster for the
something
Navy,
else.
going like, I can't believe I'm doing this not manly job. I should be swabbing a deck instead of holding a boom. And you know what? This is another thing that, like, they used to do these prepared wedding videos, and I would be there with the batteries and all that kind of equipment stuff. And now it's really just basically a friend with his phone.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, man. And now we'll just put on some music. What do you like?
Right.
We'll put some of
and
that.
you used to have to then develop it. You have to go into a dark room.
And make like all these crazy like visual effects, like pages turning and stuff like that. You know, the grandma in a haze because she might, go at any minute. Something like that.
Right.
That's all done.
Yeah.
So are weddings when you think about it. You don't even need a real preacher. You can get a degree off of the web, and you can marry 2 people.
I did
That's
it. I married 2 people.
You did?
You know Mike Dugan.
Yeah, I do.
Remember Mike Dugan? He was your boss at the Jon Stewart show when you wrote on the Jon Stewart show.
That's right. And who did he get married to?
He married a woman named Jennifer Lawson. I
Mm-hmm.
call her J-Law. And they asked me to do the wedding. And so
Wow.
the problem is like, it was, he was a bigwig at MTV at the time. So like Judy McGrath and like Doug Herzog, like all the heads of all the Comedy Channel and MTV were all in the audience.
Oh,
and he
wow.
wanted me to be funny. So I felt all this pressure to like come up with
wouldn't?
funny stuff. And so I went up and I was like, instead of being in the moment and like wanting to be in the spirit of marrying them, I was really showcasing for my next development deal.
I would do it too. Did you do any characters? Let me ask you this. So you married them, right?
Yeah.
But did you feel that you doing it like really kind of I'm sorry, I'm also running a offshore account here. Do you think that you doing it put kind of a stink on the marriage that like this is not going to work? I mean, look, it's starting out like this.
It felt like they didn't believe in whatever magic they would create themselves. Mm-hmm. So they felt like we're bringing in a warm-up guy.
Oh, okay.
Like it felt like they didn't believe in themselves enough. And he and I are out. We're actually out selling a game show.
Really?
Next week. We got 4 meetings. And hopefully we'll sell the game. Because you and I think, are at the same place in this business, which is we do a lot of stand-up, but ultimately we want to do a game show. Like game shows are the most fun thing to do in TV.
I love it. I want to do one with Jeff. We're working on it.
Oh, are you?
Well, I am. But yeah, actually, Jeff and I together, man, with real people, it's very funny.
Yeah.
We're really good at it. I'm not tooting our horn here, but we're really, really good at it. You put us in a casino and we could take on almost any act without animals.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
don't think we could take on a full tilt Vegas, like Lion Tamer. Like, I would go see that. But like man on man,
Yeah.
you could do it.
Right.
Cirque du Soleil, I mean, that's a whole different element.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you and your kids, let's say your kids are like, we're in Vegas, and there's not some old legend band that you're going to drag us to see.
Right.
So can we go see Cirque du Soleil? It's like, do you want to go to Cirque du Soleil or, I don't know, there's a comedy club down there. It's like you're going to go to Cirque du Soleil. That's
Yeah.
an experience, you know?
Now, if there's a small chance that somebody's going to die, that's always going to come ahead of you in what to do in Vegas list.
It's like a very, very fruity NASCAR. And you know how I use the F word? It's like one of those like, a cultural explosion of sadness.
It's like people that are uncomfortable with homosexuality, unless it's from a distance and they're doing it to be accepted.
Well, let me ask you, this is another thing I've been thinking of now. We all know that like cruise ships, they're out there, they're waiting to happen. How far away are you from being a boat comic?
Well, I'm gonna wait for post
A divorce.
I'm gonna do PC, which is post coronavirus on that one, because there's got to be nothing worse than like you're at sea, you've spent 7 days, you're annoyed with everybody on the boat,
You're
sick of
quarantined.
all the food, and then they tell you, oh, we're gonna stay out here for 2 weeks because we're quarantined.
I can't believe somebody is not documenting this as like a captain's log of like day 12. I have to do another show. They already know. They already know all my impressions.
Right.
I mean, they basically have you trapped there, and that's kind of sad. But I think that would be like the ultimate reality show.
Yeah.
That you're trapped on a boat like
Right.
that. You know,
You've already had sex with all the women under 200 pounds.
everybody on there is ready to go. They've all done all the buffets, like you said, all the fun, everything that could possibly happen. Even the people working in the gift shops have already basically tried to escape or can't get out. And everyone's wearing masks, correct?
All the Filipino girls that are trying to marry for
They're
a green
gone.
card, they've already.
They've skipped ship.
Yeah.
And, what can I tell you? I mean, I see it waiting for me. The boat thing is waiting for me. And I'm not putting down the boat comics at all. It's just like, I don't just think I'm there yet. I just can't put that kind of time into it. I don't think my flip phone would work out on the high seas.
Well, look, it's not a lot of people. When you get to a certain age and you can't find another job again, you're just done. But we have this really nice kind of soft dismount, which is like when the clubs aren't going to hire us anymore and corporate shows don't want us anymore and TV doesn't want us, we can go out on a cruise ship and bring our wife or significant other.
Right.
And
Or
spend
find a new
week-
wife.
Find a new wife, but you go out on a cruise ship for a week and they actually pay you.
Yes.
That's not a bad way to retire.
I think it's a good thing, but there's also other things, which is like, you just got to reel it in a little bit. You can't. It's wild, but what's his name? Branson, I believe, is doing an adult-only cruise ship, which this might be the opening for a lot of us dirty, filthy comics to get out there. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
That might be great. Open
No,
it up
you're-
for the whole world.
No, you're seeing more and more of that. Like I know the Impractical Jokers does a cruise. Like there's a lot of
two
people.
a year, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people do cruise. Like radio stations do a cruise. And,
Is there a podcast cruise where you and other podcasts?
There is.
So that we can sink the boat. I'm sorry.
There is a podcast cruise. Isn't that crazy?
No way. And how do they do it? Like you basically go on and you set up like a table on the deck, or how do you do it?
I think it's like speed dating where everybody just rotates once and you do the next guy's podcast until you're back with your own co-host and you're like, oh, I guess I'm done.
I could see it like, in Montreal when they have the podcasting in the hotel.
Yeah.
And like it's basically they're talking to you, but they're really looking to see somebody better walk by.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, look who just walked. Oh, come
Oh,
over,
yeah,
come over,
yeah.
come over.
Hannibal, who are you wearing?
That's a great grab right there. Well, I only wish the best for you and the podcast.
Well,
and,
thank you, Dave.
I mean, it's great to have just some personal time with you, and I think I've done my, I thought there were going to be other guests, but I feel special that like you came all the way back to podcast with me.
Yeah,
You're on the way home, right?
Yeah, I had just, and
Right now, there's a kid wearing soccer clothes, standing alone somewhere, going, "Daddy, Daddy."
Jaeger. No, I had just interviewed Fortune Feimster right here in this room.
Great.
And she was fantastic, and I
She
know you're a
is.
fan.
Yes.
And then you
Hard
called,
jokes. I love it.
and then you texted me
I was doing laundry.
You were doing laundry,
Yes.
and then you said I'd like to do the podcast. And
I feel like I always owe you an appearance.
You don't owe me anything. I'm so fucking happy because
Then I owe the fans.
It's literally
All right, I owe myself.
I think you're my favorite guest to have on. You and Norm Macdonald are my two
I
favorite
bet you Norm
guests.
is really good.
Norm
right?
is really good because he.
Have you been on his podcast?
No.
Isn't it weird? It's like a mysterious thing, that podcast.
Yes.
First of all, it's not even done. Like, where is it, like, anyhow, location-wise?
It's like the Eyes Wide Shut of podcasts.
It's like out by the airport.
Yeah.
That's what I always hear. It's out by the airport.
And they put a
Whoa.
bag over your head when they bring you there.
Yeah, and it's like near like a card counting casino
right.
or something.
But he's also like, when you have him on the podcast, it's not like all jokes. Like, he loves jokes. He's a fucking joke connoisseur.
He really is, yeah.
But he also will talk about like I made a joke about priests being pedophiles, and he dug in defending priests, which you just don't hear from comics very much.
He's fearless.
Like but he has his own points of view. He really, he defended Roseanne. Like I respect Norm. He's like completely free in his thinking.
Yeah, in a different time, let's say before of the, what you could say, cancel culture, you were able to express like, here's a real left turn opinion on this. And like, I'm just throwing it out there. And that stuff would usually be, everybody would go like, well, you can't do that. But it would spark other interesting things.
Yeah.
Now pretty much it's kind of sad that that kind of like has been shut down completely. So we're all like in our lane and we're all kind of like basically, driving at 30 miles an hour when we could be going like way quicker and might lead to an accident, but we'll get to funny.
Well, it's like
quicker.
when Bernie Sanders, when they said that he said that in Cuba they have a good education system,
right?
And all of a sudden they start screaming that he's a communist and that he's propping up a fascist dictator. It's
he is.
No, but but aren't you allowed to say that among the jailing of dissidents and the killing of opposition and all that stuff, that also there is universal health coverage, and they are like a 98% literacy rate. You're allowed to say that those two good things have happened in Cuba without suddenly being fucking labeled as a supporter of a dictator.
Yeah, he should have kept throwing in. How about samba? Do you think we would ever have that?
The Gypsy Kings. Come on, everybody.
How about cigars, huh? Come on.
Where would Monica Lewinsky be today without the Cuban cigar? We're going to Cuba.
That would be a great guest.
Yes.
She, like, at the first of the first, like, honestly had to hit. I feel for her because she got the first wave of actual web hate.
Yep.
And she had to power through that. She
That's
really
right.
is a hero,
No, and she's an amazing woman. Like, have you heard her speak?
Yes, she's very
like
cool.
really intelligent, really
and
together.
Jewish.
What do you mean, and?
I'm Jewish, so I always like when one of our own does it.
All right.
There's the call. No, so what I wanted to say was...
do you think you could turn the ringer off at this point?
I don't think I know how to do that. I
Really?
really wish I could. I'm not doing it to impress you.
The worst part is it's not an old flip phone. You have a new flip phone. Oh, man. What keeps you from getting a real phone?
Sorry, I just had to work on some Kansas City press. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, what was I going to say? Norm. Okay, what's another one? Who else? Did you have Shandling on? Gary Shandling. You did?
I got bad news for you. Oh, would I have him on? I thought you
no,
said,
I mean,
would I
did
have
you?
him on?
Did you ever?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't have Shandling on.
Okay. How about let's see who else. What other legends are out there right now?
I would like to have David Sedaris on.
Yes.
I just find him to be like
Great.
just great, funny, smart. I'd like to have on
Which ones of the Birds of Prey have you had on? It's a new movie. Are you all right?
I had Brian Wilson on.
You did?
Yep.
How did that happen?
He was doing a press junket, and I saw it, and so I reached out to his publicity people, and I go, look, I'm a huge fan. I'm a giant fan of Brian Wilson. I go, I got questions that nobody else is going to ask him, and just give me like a half an hour.
Wow.
And they were like, so they go, well, we got people lined up. It was over at Sirius XM. And they go, we got people lined up for 2 hours. Everybody gets 20 minutes.
Oh.
So I was like the fifth person in.
Really?
So first person goes in and they ask him, so what was it like being in the Beach Boys? And you know him, he's almost catatonic. And he's like,
yeah,
it was good.
That's all he said.
And then they would ask him another question and he'd go, yeah. And they would literally, you just saw these guys like spinning out of control. Like, what the fuck am I going to ask him now? So everybody was only lasting 10 minutes.
Oh.
And so then I got on, and there was all this extra time.
Yeah.
And I started asking him questions about why did you keep talking about zucchinis on the whatever.
Cool.
And so like he like woke up, and he was like, we had like a real conversation, and we talked for 45 minutes.
So you broke him. You found like the code to get into it.
Well, I just think it's like, you just have to picture what people are used to being asked and make sure you don't ask any, because all you have to do is ask one question that they've heard a million times, and the switch
They're
just
done.
goes off.
That's true. I would have presented him an edible arrangement. He seems like the kind of guy who would enjoy that.
Bring
Well,
gifts.
thank you.
Bring gifts.
Yeah.
You brought candy for my producer.
Exactly. I like to, what I'm talking about. I see it as a team.
Yeah.
I'm a guest and I want to make it happen.
Right.
And there's something about, what can I tell you? It's Easter. There's a lot of great candy out there. I know you celebrate, right?
Well, I'm actually, we're going to be in Cuba for Easter this year, me and my
really?
family.
Who are you there with, Bernie Sanders?
I'm going with Bernie.
How are you going to get there? I think that they took back the whole thing of you're allowed to go there now.
You just have to claim that you're there to help the citizens of Cuba.
Wow.
So, you just have to Joey Diaz.
Yes.
Like Joey Diaz has family there, so I'm in touch with his aunt and his cousin.
Cool. Are you going to do shows, you think?
I don't think so. But they're going to pick me up at the airport, and then because I'm interacting with locals, then it makes it okay to go.
It's interesting there, isn't it?
It's really interesting, and like all the cars are from the 1950s.
Yeah, but I think that's only part of it now. I think that they, to be honest, like I really kind of wish that we kind of opened it up when Obama did that, because by now they could have been like the other Miami. I mean,
know.
honestly, drop a couple of phones in there and like, whatever. It's like boom, they're ready to go.
Well, there's no Wi-Fi.
There's no Wi-Fi
There's literally no Wi-Fi.
They also like really don't have any development yet. It's like still like the, I guess, 60s or 70s there.
Yeah.
So, you really could like, talk about like ultimate prime real estate.
Yeah.
Get in there and really,
And people that are highly educated, which means like if you can get them in your workforce, that's
That's true.
a cheap labor that's highly educated.
But they do have that whole literacy thing there, and they have the doctors and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. But the doctors there make like what a guy over here would make, like a juggler.
Oh, right. No, they're starving to death. The doctors are poorer than anybody.
So they're the ones who probably really want, the high-end people.
Right, right.
What other of our enemies are you going to visit? North Korea, maybe?
I'm going to Ireland in August.
That's great.
With
Now, you must have family there, right?
I have a a lot of family there.
And what do they do there? Like, there's only like 4 Irish jobs, right? They have a distillery. They tell limericks. What do they do?
They bring you to the Blarney Stone and they hold you while you kiss it.
They tell you not to go drive down that road. That's another Irish thing. Don't go down that road.
They do instant ancestry DNA tests right at the airport.
Yeah, they were. I guess you could say cock blocked by this whole 23andMe, because that was the whole thing of like, I'm going to go to Ireland, and now you don't even have to go. Now you can just do it on the computer.
Right.
So that must be beautiful over there.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
And the women are stunning. Like,
the women are either
really
stunning or they're the least attractive women you've ever seen in your life.
That's the way it works.
It's one extreme or the the
And what
I
do you
think
think of the
Israel's
redhead?
like that too, right?
Israel, I don't know where all these beautiful Jews, because when I grew up, it was not like that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm from Long Island, which is not Israel, but yeah, it's really kind of amazing to see the blonde, blue-eyed Jew. I really don't know how that happened.
Right.
But everybody goes, why wouldn't it? I'm like, well, because we don't look like that. I'm honestly like, we have that dark,
Well, there's Sephardic and there's Ashkenazi, and you're
Ashkenazi.
You're Ashkenazi, right?
Yeah, I am. And
don't act angry about it.
I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying that like the Sephardics are darker than the Ashkenazi.
But you're pretty dark.
I'm all right. I can hold my own. But, let's face it, it is February, and I'm just trying to be a part of it.
You always get a tan in L.A. because you have to smoke outside the whole time.
Well, that was my my thing with I moved, and I was like, I don't want to smoke in here because I don't want to lower the value. Luckily, the entire real estate market has dropped out, so no one's buying or selling anything. So now I'm like, hey, I'm just going to smoke in here. I mean, I know I'm never going to sell this place, so I might as well just
you timed the
enjoy
market
at the absolutely wrong time, yeah.
You bought at the peak.
I timed so badly, it was like one of those where it's like, I can't believe it. Like if I had just like waited an hour.
But then you sold your other place at the height.
I know. And that's another thing that everyone thinks they're going to be good at is real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, if I can just get enough cash together, I get some real estate going, and like I'll never have to work again. It's like that's a whole other job into itself. Being a landlord, you know that.
Yeah.
I mean, how much stress is that being a landlord?
Well, we've just got one rental unit in the back, and the people have been there for like 7 years, so it's nothing. We don't see them, we don't hear from them. They just like Venmo money over every month.
So you've never thought you and your wife like let's buy? You never thought like you and your wife let's buy like a building?
No, we never want to do that.
You don't want to do it.
No, I have a job. It's a fucking job. You know?
But you remember like the young, like in the 90s and 80s, like the first wave of rich comics, it was like in Boston, he owes like 7 like brownstones.
Anthony Clark did that.
I didn't want to say the name, but I was like, wow, that's really adult.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Then he moved to L.A. and he started buying places in L.A.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He doesn't have to work anymore.
See? So there you go. So real estate worked for him. But
real estate always works. So let me tell you, young kids, you're here with Dave and Greg, and we're talking real estate. As soon as you can afford to buy a studio apartment for 10% down, 20% down, whatever it takes, buy a fucking $80,000 apartment because now you've got equity. And instead of paying your rent away every month, you're going to recoup it when you sell that place someday. And you're going to be able to buy a bigger place and then a bigger place.
Well, I think you're wasting your time. That's an old business model. These kids are young. They don't buy anything. They share a bike.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right.
They're not going to buy a place. They're not going to, I mean, in the way the workflow goes now, like they don't know where they're going to work. They might have to move cross country. They might have to go overseas. So having like something where they have a mortgage and they're tied to that location, that's a no-go for these kids. I think that them getting involved in the stock market is probably a better way to do it. But, honestly, if I was like 25 years old and I'm like, hey, climate change, blah, 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 like I'm not going to buy a place. I mean, I know at some point this is going to be, like underwater,
So you're saying live as if we're on the Titanic right now.
I don't know. I just feel like these kids are smart. They're also super, they are like hungry. They've seen people their own age become billionaires. So we didn't have that. We had like at least a 15-year window of being a loser.
Yeah.
They have like a year where they're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be 23 and I don't have my own company yet. I guess I'm a loser.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, cyber, something and kill myself. They don't have that same window of like, when I'm 40, I better be this and that. They don't. It's by 25 or something,
Well, I got a son in college and I can tell you already, like, I can remember being young and, you see immigrant parents going like, no, you're going to be a business major or whatever. I hope you couldn't recognize that accent. I was trying to kind of morph it between a few different immigrants.
It was a little hurtful, but I'll give it to you.
Okay. It was Ashkenazi. and now that I have a kid, it's like I can see my kid I don't want him to major in communications or philosophy. It's like for all the money and like the time in his life that he's putting on it, like take something that's going to actually make you some money because it's going to be tough out there getting a job.
But what is that anyhow with all the AI and all that kind of stuff? What job will be left? Actually crafting might be the, teach your kid, like you said, send him to business school, but make sure he also knows how to like be glass blowing. Like he should need like an old Renaissance skill to like, if that other thing falls apart, like I can also shoe a horse,
I can leather work.
Yeah, I can make you a saddle if I had to.
Yes, I'll be a midwife for you.
There's a lot of kids also
not a midwife. What do they call it when they nurse? A wet nurse.
A wet nurse.
My daughter can be a wet nurse because they'll be the truly wealthy, and they're going to go back to those times where you actually have women do the breastfeeding for you.
Right.
And it'll be like Handmaid's Tale where your husband can have sex with another woman so you don't have to.
How about like these shows like you've seen like the Discovery Channel shows where it's basically guys who like detail cars, they make fish tanks, they do tree houses. These are all skills that like you can just imagine. It's like, if I had that skill and I had some business sense, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I turn that into a business? Because there is a need, I guess, to some degree for all of that stuff. I don't know about the tree houses, but people who have money want that kind of stuff. And like, I guess, it's one of the perks of being like a 1%er of like, dude, why shouldn't I have a fish tank? Like that's a whole wall of my house, like that kind of thing. So it's kind of cool that these guys who are like, you don't learn that in college. That's just something that you throw a lot of time in and you like have the passion for it, So there still are jobs like that, Well,
there's a family in our neighborhood. They had a big tree in their front yard and they wanted a tree house, but they wanted it to be done like a really special one. And so there's this guy and he lives in Thailand, but he comes and he lives with you for like 2 months, and he stays in your house, and he builds a fucking tree house.
Really?
But he uses like whatever the native woods are to your area, and he builds this like really elaborate. It's almost like a guest house.
Wow.
But he builds it on the tree of your property, and then he moves to the next house.
That's the creepiest thing I've heard in weeks.
Robbing everybody as he goes.
This guy just comes and lives in your house to get to know you? Is that what it is? Like, Dad, who's this guy here at the breakfast table? Oh, he's building, we don't want to let it out, but he's building you a tree house. He's going to be here for 2 months.
But Daddy, I thought you and I would do something special together. Nope, we're going high end on this
Could
one.
you imagine picking that guy up at the airport? Oh, I'm glad you're here. Hey, we got all this stuff, so probably it'll take maybe 2 weeks. No, it's going to take about 2 months. If we're lucky. If we're lucky. Might take, I need to see your house and how cool it is if I want to hang out there. Hey, what are you doing in the pool? I'm getting the idea of the treehouse. Can you get out of my wife right now and get up in that tree? Wow, that's talk about like, man, he must be really good.
Yeah, I mean that's almost like when you hear about all these rich Hollywood people having somebody else take the SATs for your daughter. Like that's what it is. That's supposed to be a dad and his son.
Well, I'll tell you one thing is that a lot of these kids don't need college, and I think that's what we got to see. Is like they already have that, like I said, Instagram business going and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of ridiculous that they're actually going to college. So maybe that's something we should all talk about. Like, why would you go to college when you don't really need to go to college? Or is there like a junior college that you can go to? Or are you just going for the party? Or your parents want you to go because they went and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
So that's like the new world that we live in. But I would say if I had a kid, I'd want him to go to college because I'm like, that'll help them get a good job. But if they study something that like there's, like how many...
Liberal arts.
Yeah. But I don't know what to say. It's like, the world changes so quickly now that what's the right move?
Well, they say 70% of the jobs that our kids will have don't exist today. And so they say actually the best thing to do is to study liberal arts, whether it's philosophy or writing or history, to open up your mind and think about ideas and how to expand your creativity, because then you'll be able to adapt and do whatever's coming down the road.
I think comedy is another one where people look at it from the outside and go like, hey, that's a career. It's a career for maybe a third of the people in it, and the rest of them are like the rest, like they're people trying to make it a job. It's like acting or being a musician. And I don't think that percentage doesn't get to see. The people who come into it new really have to kind of like see that there is definitely a lot of luck involved besides all the time and work, and I guess you could say skill or talent to it, that there's a lot of luck in terms of making it, just like with acting where it's like really like a lot of luck.
Right.
And I don't know what to say, but anybody who jumps in, I guess we're all on the same team, but like it's a long road. It's a fun road. There's a lot of twists and turns, but being flexible is really what it's about. Like, you do pretty much everything you can do in terms of the business. You write, you've produced, you have been on air, you've been behind the scenes. So that's like what you kind of need to know how to do,
Yeah, you got to do it all.
Unless within a year they go like, boom, you're the shit.
All right, well, listen, go to daveattell.com, Attell. Hands down, the best stand-up show you will see in America today, Dave Attell.
That's the bar is too high. Thank you,
you're
Greg.
the best. You're the best.
You.
And then
come down.
Consistently good. You never mail it in. You never do a bad show.
I'll just say this. When you get to the point where they name not just a drink, but also an app after you on the menu, then you know that you've hit a new level of success.
And the merch is unbelievable.
Yes. Come down for the show. Stay for the merch.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. Thanks, Dave. God bless America.